Let's begin early on Saturday morning when the US president released an 8-minute video on Truth Social. Donald Trump stood behind a podium in a USA cap and announced the start of major combat operations in Iran.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission.
In the past, such as during Operation Midnight Hammer last June, these strikes have taken place under the cover of darkness. But this latest operation took place during the day, reportedly to take the country's military by surprise. Several sources told Fox News that Israeli intelligence had managed to infiltrate the inner sanctum of Iranian security. A target of opportunity was detected because senior leaders were meeting at a compound in Tehran on Saturday morning. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth described Operation Epic Fury as the most lethal, most complex, and most precision aerial operation in history. The strikes began just before 10 a.m. Iran time, targeting the command and control facilities of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Iranian air defense capabilities, missile launch sites, and military airfields. The US has been deploying huge amounts of military hardware to the Middle East in recent weeks. It's been described as the largest regional concentration of American military firepower in a generation, eclipsing the build-up seen during the Iraq War in 2003. Precision munitions were launched from the air, land and sea, as footage from US Central Command shows. Well, as I mentioned earlier, all of this was conducted in tandem with the Israel Defense Forces. The IDF said its Operation Roaring Lion had followed 3 key phases. The first was to dismantle aerial defense systems and missile launches in western Iran. The second was to achieve aerial supremacy in this region and finally over the skies of the capital, Tehran. Israel's claimed there has recently been a sharp acceleration in Iran's missile production capabilities. It alleges the regime was building dozens of ballistic missiles a month and was aiming to create 8,000 by next year. The IDF says it will continue to degrade Iran's capabilities until it is no longer a threat to the Israeli people. A spokesman said several senior officials in Iran's defense leadership were eliminated following months of planning and an unprecedented level of cooperation between the US and Israel.
This is an operation against the world's largest sponsor of terror, a regime that for years has called death to Israel, death to America, death to the West. We listened to their words carefully. We watched their actions, and today we acted. We acted because we had to. We launched this operation by seizing an operational opportunity, conducting coordinated strikes against high-level gatherings of senior figures within Iran's military and security leadership. We can now confirm that these senior Iranian regime officials were eliminated by the IDF. Ali Shamkhani, advisor to Khamenei on issues of defense and secretary of the Defense Council. Muhammad Pakpour, commander of the IRGC. Muhammad Shirazi, head of the military bureau of the Iranian supreme leader for almost 40 years. Salah Asadi, the senior intelligence officer of the Supreme Command. Aziz Nasirzadeh, the Iranian defense minister, and others. These and other senior figures will no longer be able to advance their plan, the destruction of Israel. These are terrorists who have blood on their hands, who are directly responsible for the death of thousands by terror.
Iran plunged into a near-total internet blackout as the bombardment by US and Israeli forces began. Figures suggested that connectivity across the nation was running at just 4% of normal levels. Nonetheless, videos quickly emerged from the streets of Tehran, showing smoke billowing into the sky. Footage on the ground showed cars on fire, panicked Iranians gathering on the streets, and buildings turned to rubble.
مناطقی که مورد حمله قرار گرفته مناطق مسکونی بوده. که به این صورت در اومده. اینجا منزل مسکونی بوده.
طبق اعلام رسانه‌های مختلف در شمال مرکز
جدیدی به دست ما رسیده از تجاوز هوایی آمریکا و رژیم صهیونیستی به تهران و شهر کشور که در قاب شبکه خبر این تصاویر رو مشاهده می‌کنید. بر اساس اعلام منابع خبری علاوه بر تهران ساعتی قبل صدای چند انفجار در برخی شهرها از جمله اصفهان، قم، برخی مناطق استان لرستان، کرمانشاه
have claimed at least 165 people, including children, have died after a girls' school was struck in the south of Iran. Nationwide, the Iranian Red Crescent says 555 people have been killed by airstrikes, with hundreds more injured. The school is based in Minob, not far from an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps base that has been targeted in the past. Iran's president, that's Masoud Pezeshkian, has described it as a barbaric act and another black page in the record of countless crimes committed by the aggressors. Israel says it wasn't operating in the area at the time, while the US Central Command says it's taking the reports seriously and the protection of civilians is of utmost importance. It's difficult to verify the exact number of fatalities, and some Iranians say it's the regime that should bear responsibility for these deaths. One question, though, why there was no order to keep children at home while the attacks were taking place. Footage from Minob shows the aftermath of these strikes. Confirmed the joint strikes with the US had targeted Iran's president and supreme leader. However, in the hours after the attack, the result of these specific operations was unclear. Reports had suggested Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was not in Tehran and had been transferred to a secure location. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi appeared on NBC News on Saturday morning. He said the president, the head of the judiciary and the speaker in parliament had all survived, and as far as he was aware at that point, Khamenei was alive too.
Well, the situation on the ground is quite, I cannot say normal, but the life is going on. Everything is under control. I think Americans and Israelis failed to, access to hit their targets. And now everything is under control. Almost all officials are safe and sound and alive. We may have lost one or two commanders, but that is not a big problem. We are actually managing it.
As soon as explosions were heard across Tehran, Iranian officials had vowed to retaliate and warned their response to this attack would be crushing. This retaliation came quickly, within an hour. Iranian state media broadcast pictures of their missiles being launched. Analysts said this retaliation was much faster than expected and an indication Iran had prepared its missile batteries with pre-programmed target data. The country's hypersonic missiles can reach Israel in under 7 minutes, while its ballistic missiles take 12. By contrast, after Operation Midnight Hammer, it had taken Iran about 18 hours to respond. Explosions were heard in northern Israel, with the Iron Dome defense system intercepting rocket salvos over the skies of major cities. But footage shared online and broadcast live on NBC News indicates some of Iran's missiles breached this shield during high-density saturation attacks in Tel Aviv. Reports suggest at least 11 people have been killed in Israel, with 121 others injured. 9 of these deaths were the result of a direct missile hit on a residential building and bomb shelter in Beit Hamesh.
בשריפה על הגג ובסריקה במבנה עד כאן. ברור,
Israelis. I think that's what the calculation now is. Regime preservation. Could you get a more pragmatic figure presiding over this regime? Sure.
Aaron, I just want to break in for a moment because we're looking at live pictures in the air over Tel Aviv, and obviously, as many people know or maybe don't know, there is an Iron Dome that Israel uses as its missile defense system, and we're seeing it working now.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed that the campaign in Iran will continue. He said the IDF are now striking in the heart of Tehran with increasing strength, and the intensity will increase over the coming days.
Our forces are now striking at the heart of Tehran with intense power, and this will only escalate in the days ahead. We are engaged in a campaign in which the Israel Defense Forces are deploying their full strength as never before to ensure our existence and our future.
Tehran's retaliation has extended far beyond Israel. Iranian drones and missiles went on to strike several countries throughout the Middle East. The main objective was to hit US military bases and infrastructure. Al Udeida base, America's largest in the region, was targeted by missiles, but most were intercepted. Thick smoke was seen at Erbil Air Base in Iraq, which is used to house US troops. Overall, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims it struck 27 bases, but US Central Command has insisted the damage was minimal and its operations were unaffected. In surreal scenes, news anchors on Al Jazeera and CNN, broadcasting from Doha and Abu Dhabi, were interrupted as emergency alerts blurred on their phones.
Our soldiers, and that's a cost that we are prepared for.
This is the alarm, by the way, that we all get on our phones here in Doha when there's an urgency. And so the National Emergency Alert System has gone off here in Qatar. The Defense Ministry in Qatar announcing just a short while ago that an Iranian missile has been intercepted here in Qatar, warning citizens basically to take shelter. Let's bring in Alan Fisher in Washington, D.C. Apologies, there's a bit of chaos in the newsroom, as you can imagine, because this is also happening here in Qatar. Our emergency systems going off here.
I'm Becky Anderson in Abu Dhabi with the alarms going off here, suggesting we should seek immediate shelter in the closest source. So we'll do that. Our breaking news coverage continues after this short break. Stay with us.
In a worrying development, it wasn't just American military bases and infrastructure that was struck by Iranian missiles. Footage shared online showed a drone striking a high-rise residential building in Bahrain. Allah! Dubai, a city in the United Arab Emirates that is hugely popular with expats, was also affected. There was a large explosion at the Fairmont The Palm Hotel and a number of injuries were reported. Meanwhile, there was a fire outside the 7-star Burj Al Arab, sparked by the fragments of a drone that was intercepted by the UAE's air defense systems. Well, a British man who was staying at that hotel, Steve Penk, told me it was a terrifying situation. He said the noise of the missile hitting the hotel is something he will never forget. Steve added he and his family are safe, but there was a constant sound of drone attacks overnight. Efforts quickly began on Sunday to remove burnt cars and debris from outside the building. This family say they are desperate to get home.
We heard a bang. And we looked at each other and I just went, that's a bomb. Then next minute we saw lots of missiles flying across.
like a little bit of smoke in the sky. Then about 3 or 4 minutes, I was leaving the reception area, and we got back up to the room. Layla and Jensen got in the shower.
Having showers, and Matty just got out the shower, and then I heard the bang. I was like, "Oh my god, that's close, really close." That's when I ran to the window and had a look, and yeah.
The room shook. The flame, you know, you seen a big flash, flames coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on the 6th floor, and it was a pretty bad shake. We, like I said, we didn't know what to do. We just sort of followed our head and was like, right, let's just get outside just in case there is any more.
Yeah.
That hit the buildings, and you know, we're in an open space. But was that the right thing to do? But that was, you know, we just followed, you know, we followed our own heart.